The girl in the glass chamber. The hallway was quiet, too quiet for a hospital orbiting a living planet. Only the soft hum of machines echoed through the sterile corridors. A single red light blinked above room 7B, warning others to stay out. That room was restricted, sealed, and hidden from visitors. But inside, a girl waited. She wasn't human. Though she looked like one from afar, her skin had a gentle blue tint, like moonlight on ice. Her eyes, large and silver, seemed to glow with memories she never lived. She lay inside a vertical glass chamber, wires running into her arms, chest, and spine. The chamber was called a life tube, but everyone in the hospital knew it was counting down her final hours. Her name was Rayla. Dr. Eli Grant didn't belong in that wing. He was a human volunteer doctor, assigned to the biology lab downstairs, but earlier that day, he received a strange alert. It said, "Request for final emotional reproduction, only. Human specialist accepted, urgent approval needed." He thought it was a mistake, but curiosity pushed him forward, and now, here he stood outside room 7B, staring at the red warning light. He tapped his ID badge. The door hissed open. The chamber room was dim, cold, and silent, machines lined the walls like silent guards. And there, in the center, was her. Rayla opened her eyes the moment he stepped in. Her voice was barely a whisper, yet it reached him clearly. "You came," she said. Eli froze. How did she know him? He'd never seen her before. He slowly stepped forward, checking the monitors on the wall. Her vital signs were stable, but only just. She had less than 72 hours to live. "I'm Dr. Grant," he said softly. "You made a request." She nodded. Weakly, her voice trembled as she spoke. "Yes, my final wish." Eli hesitated. "You asked for human reproduction." "Yes," she said. "Not for mating, not for pleasure." She looked straight into his eyes. "I want to feel it. The thing humans do with love, not just survival." Eli was trained for many things, but this was new. He glanced at her file on the digital tablet beside the chamber. Her species, the Nairi, were nearly extinct. Emotionless reproduction, cold gene replication. They never touched, never felt, never loved. Her generation was the last. "No. Nairi child has been born in 25 years." He muttered aloud. "That's why I'm here," she replied. "They say I'm broken, that I was born curious. I read about humans in old texts, about warmth, hugs, bonding." She gently placed her palm against the glass. Eli hesitated, then placed his hand where hers rested. There was a soft hum. The chamber responded to their touch, glowing faintly. "They gave me the choice," she whispered. "Be erased peacefully, or try to experience what my kind never knew." "Why, Emmy?" Eli asked. "There are hundreds of humans on this station." "Because you speak the Nairi tongue," she said with a small smile. "Because you're the only one who listened when my message was sent." He was silent. The moment felt too heavy, too strange, yet it was real. "I'm not asking for anything physical," she added. "I want to know what it means to bond, to connect, the way your kind does. Before I go." Eli took a deep breath. He wasn't sure what the hospital would say, or the alien council, but he nodded slowly. "I'll stay with you," he said. "Until your final moment, you won't be alone." Her eyes glistened. Maybe it was tears, or maybe the chamber's light, but Eli swore he saw emotion in them. That night, Eli returned with a small blanket and an old human book. "Stories of Earth," he said, showing her the cover. "You said you read about us. Want to read together?" She nodded. The chamber allowed a small interaction field to open a transparent membrane, where their hands could meet. They began reading together. One page at a time, he read aloud. She followed. The words were simple, about two children finding a flower in a frozen world. But every time the characters hugged or smiled, Rayla paused. "Why do they smile when they are cold?" she asked. "Because being with someone warms you," Eli replied. "I think I'm warm now," she said quietly. Hours passed. Nurses peeked in. Some frowned, some walked away. Rumors began spreading. The human is in the chamber. He's reading to her. He's touching the subject. Eli didn't care. Neither did Rayla. In that quiet room, time slowed and something fragile grew. Not love, not yet, but something close, and somewhere in the hidden parts of her DNA. A sleeping spark stirred. Asterisk, her species had no love the next morning. The glass chamber felt warmer than usual. Not because of the temperature, but because Eli had returned. Not as a doctor, but as something else, something unspoken. Rayla opened her eyes before he even entered. As if she had sensed him from beyond the door, she greeted him with a soft smile. Her voice was clearer than yesterday, though her vitals still blinked red across the monitors. "I dreamed I was holding a star," she whispered. "But it didn't burn me. It held me back." Eli stepped inside, carrying two things, a bowl of warm human soup and an old music box from Earth. The nurses didn't try to stop him anymore. They just watched, some curious, others disturbed. "I thought you'd like to hear something old," Eli said as he placed the music box near the chamber. He turned the tiny metal key, and a melody began to float in the room. It was slow, sad, and soft, like a lullaby whispered to the stars. Rayla closed her eyes and listened. Her breathing slowed, syncing with the tune. For her people, music was considered noise, unfit for logical minds. Her species had no songs, no lullabies, and no emotional stories. "Why does that sound make me feel full?" she asked. "Because it's tied to emotion," Eli replied. "Humans connect through feeling. That's what makes the melody matter." Rayla looked away, her voice lower now. "My kind had no feeling." Eli sat beside her chamber and opened his datapad. Her medical history unfolded on the screen. Line after line revealed what she already knew. Her race, the Neri, reproduced without contact. Just DNA samples placed in artificial wombs. Every child was born in silence, raised in isolation. They were trained to suppress instinct, to ignore physical touch. The word parent didn't exist in their language. "How did you survive in a world like that?" he asked quietly. "I didn't," she answered. "I only existed." She turned her head toward the glass, meeting his gaze with a strange determination. "Do you know why I made that wish?" she asked. Eli shook his head. "When I was 5, I found a forbidden data file hidden in a trash cluster. It was an old Earth novel, written in your language. I couldn't read it at first, but I learned slowly," she said. The story was about a human mother and father who built a family in a ruined world. They hugged, they cried, they argued, but they stayed together. I read that book 1,000 times. Eli leaned forward, stunned. "That one book changed you. It awakened something," she replied. "I didn't want to be cloned or processed. I wanted to feel, to love, to be more than a vessel." A silence followed, broken only by the fading tune of the music box. Rayla lifted her hand again, resting it gently against the chamber wall. Eli met her touch, just like before, through the interaction membrane, she whispered. "That story told me something no Nyari ever believed, that life means nothing without love." Ayla's voice dropped. "Your council disagrees. They want to shut this down. They call it a violation of natural order. I am not natural." Rayla said, her tone sharper now. "I am the mistake they want to erase." Just then, a sharp beep echoed across the room. A red icon flashed on the wall screen. Authorization change. Euthanasia moved to 24 hours. Eli's heart dropped. "They're speeding it up," he muttered. "They're afraid of what you're becoming." Rayla nodded slowly. "I think they're right to fear it." Eli stood up, pacing now, thinking fast. "We don't have time to wait. If we want to honor your wish, whatever it becomes, we need to move now." "Where?" Rayla asked. "There's a private zone on the outer ring," he explained. "A biodome designed to mimic Earth's environment. I can take you there. It has privacy, natural light, no scanners. But I can't walk," she said softly. "I'll carry you," he replied. They both looked at each other, the weight of the moment heavy between them. What they were planning wasn't allowed. It wasn't legal. It might be the last thing either of them ever did. Eli reached out and pressed the emergency override on the chamber. "I'm not letting them take you without knowing what it's like to feel human," he whispered. The chamber hissed, opened, and steam rose like breath escaping from a cold body. Rayla's limbs trembled as Eli gently lifted her into his arms. Her skin was cold, but she clung to him like warmth was the only thing left to hold on to. As they slipped through the service tunnels, unseen by cameras and guards, one thought burned in Eli's mind. She was more human than anyone he'd ever met. "The clock is ticking." An alarm was blinking silently across the hospital's upper council floor. Red text scrolled across the screen. "Subject Rayla unauthorized removal detected." But the guards didn't act right away. They waited, as if someone had told them to delay, and someone had far below. In a hidden biodome on the edge of the space station, Eli gently laid Rayla down on a soft bed made of old earth fabric. Warm lights simulated sunlight through the glass ceiling. Artificial birds chirped in the background, and vines covered the silver walls. Rayla blinked slowly, her skin absorbing the warmth. "It feels like a memory I never had," she whispered. "You're safe here," Eli said, checking the vitals on his portable scanner. For now, he knew they didn't have much time. The council had moved her euthanasia forward. They would search for her within the hour, and when they found her, they wouldn't listen to kindness. Eli pulled a small data drive from his bag. Inside was a simulation file, a safe, controlled experience that could mimic human emotional bonding without physical interaction. It was designed for psychology research, but it could be used for her wish. "This is what I can offer you," he said. "Not real reproduction, but something like it, an emotional imprint between minds." Rayla looked at the device, then at him. "Will I feel what humans feel?" she asked. "If your brain accepts it," he replied. "You'll feel everything. Connection, affection, vulnerability, warmth. I'm ready," she said without hesitation. Eli connected the simulation interface, placing one neural band on her temple and one on his own. The machine buzzed softly. Then everything went quiet. In the simulation, they were standing in a field of green. The sky was purple with twin suns above them. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't Nyarian. It was somewhere in between where no species had to pretend. Ailey looked at her, and she looked at him. Her body was stronger in the simulation, and her eyes were full of light. "Where are we?" she asked. "This place doesn't exist," he said. "We created it together. This is what emotional bonding feels like. It's made of shared thoughts." Rayla stepped closer, hesitating. Do humans always touch like this?" she asked, brushing her hand along his. "Sometimes," Eli answered, "when we care deeply." She leaned her head against his shoulder. A soft breeze moved through the grass. And for a moment, time didn't matter. For her, this was more than a dream. It was the completion of something missing in her soul since birth. Her heart, weak in the real world, now beat strong here. The neural link began showing spikes in her emotional data, spikes never before seen in any Nari. Then the simulation began to flicker. Eli opened his eyes, alarm screaming on his tablet. "They found us," he whispered. The chamber door burst open. Security officers in silver armor rushed in. Guns raised, one shouted, "Step away from the subject." Eli stood between them and Rayla, arms out. "She has the right to live this moment," he yelled. "This is not violence. This is healing," the lead guard sneered. "She is not human, doctor. She's not yours to protect. She's not yours to destroy either," Eli replied. The guards moved in, grabbing Eli and shoving him to the wall. He didn't resist. Rayla screamed her first loud cry since birth. It wasn't fear. It was something new. Powerful, painful. That's when the impossible happened. Her body began to glow, softly at first, then brighter. Her veins lit up like starlight under her skin. The medical scanner dropped from Eli's pocket, blinking wildly, showing new data. Genetic activation detected, emotion-based cell mutation, Host. Stable. Everyone froze. Rayla stood slowly, unsupported, her legs no longer weak. Her voice rang with clarity. You tried to erase me before I could bloom. The guards stepped back, uncertain now. What is this? One of them muttered. Eli picked up the scanner, reading the data in disbelief. Her DNA is rewriting itself, he said. Emotion triggered something ancient inside her. Rayla turned to him, eyes glowing. You gave me something my people never had, not just touch, not just warmth, but purpose. One of the guards whispered into his cum. Sir, we've got a problem. She's becoming something else. Up in the council tower, the leaders of the Nyari watched the footage silently, the room filled with unease. What happens? One of them asked. If she survives and tells the others? The answer came from the elder's trembling lips. Then we can no longer control the future. Asterisk, she never knew. Touch. Rayla sat on a wooden bench beside a tiny artificial stream inside the biodome. Her bare feet touched the soft grass. Her hands ran along the smooth surface of the water. Every sensation made her freeze, then shiver, not from cold, but from wonder. She had never felt this before, not wind, not sunlight, not the tickle of grass between her toes. Her body trembled every time her fingers brushed against her own skin, as if her nerves had only just awakened. Like a machine learning how to breathe, Eli watched her from a short distance, leaning against a tree. The guards had been called back. No one dared approach now, not after the scans, not after her DNA glowed. She's stabilizing, one medic had whispered. She's changing faster than our systems can track. But Eli saw more than data. He saw her eyes when she looked at the trees, her lips as she silently mouthed the names of things, and the way she smiled, not like someone learning, but like someone remembering a forgotten truth. You're thinking, Eli said softly as he approached her. Rayla looked up. I don't know if I'm supposed to feel so much, she whispered. My skin hurts, but it's beautiful. I touched a flower and cried. Why did that happen? Because you're alive, Eli replied, sitting beside her. And for the first time, your body knows it too. Rayla reached out, slowly, carefully. Her fingers hovered near his hand, close but not touching. May I? She asked. Eli nodded. She placed her hand over his. It was clumsy, uncertain, but she didn't pull away. Her fingers curled into his palm like she had found something sacred. Your warmth is different, she said. It doesn't burn, but it fills me, he chuckled softly. It's called comfort. Comfort, she repeated, as if testing the shape of the word in her mouth. We don't have that word in my language. Eli looked at her hand, pale blue and shaking, but no longer weak. How do your people survive without comfort? He asked. We don't, she answered. We only continue. Silence fell between them, but not an empty silence. It was thick with meaning, with emotion neither of them could name just yet. Then she asked, Can I hear your heartbeat? Eli blinked. What? I read in your books that lovers sometimes fall asleep listening to each other's hearts. Is that true? He nodded. Yes, it's true. I want to hear it, just once, she said. Before my body decides to stop pretending I'm alive. Eli hesitated, then gently lay down on the grass, motioning for her to rest her head on his chest. She followed, slowly, unsure. Her head touched him lightly. Her ear rested right above his heart. The steady thump echoed through her like music. Her eyes fluttered closed, and her breath slowed. It's like a song, she whispered. A song. Just for me. Eli said nothing. His eyes stared up at the fake stars painted on the dome ceiling. But in that moment, they felt real. Everything did. Rayla's hand slid up to his chest, fingers lightly pressing into the fabric of his shirt. If I had heard this sound when I was born, maybe I would have lived a little sooner, she said. Eli swallowed hard. You're living now. They stayed like that, time melting away. Neither of them spoke, because words would only break the fragile magic between them. The human and the alien girl, side by side, not in fear or science, but in silent understanding. Suddenly, the cum unit in Eli's pocket buzzed. He checked it. A message flashing. Council meeting called decision pending subject to be returned for termination by galactic law. He closed the message and looked at Rila. She was smiling softly, eyes still shut, breathing in rhythm with his heartbeat. They won't stop, will they? He asked quietly. No, she whispered. But I'm not scared anymore. Eli nodded. Then we don't run. We show them something they've never seen. What's that? She asked. A living miracle, he replied. Just then, outside the biodome, ships began to arrive. Armored and silent, like shadows in the fog. The council had made its decision, and it was coming with force, but inside that small bubble of Earthlight, Rila finally slept, not like someone who was dying, but like someone who had just begun to live. The forbidden procedure, the sky inside the biodome, flickered once, just once, but Eli noticed it. The artificial light trembled, like the station itself was nervous. He knew what it meant. The outer ring had been locked down. The council wasn't waiting anymore. But Rila still slept, curled beside him in the grass. Her breathing was calm, her fingers still wrapped gently around his sleeve. Her skin now had a soft glow, almost human in tone. Her hair shimmered with threads of silver and blue, a new hybrid pattern, something never recorded before. Eli sat up slowly, careful not to wake her. He checked his wrist scanner again. The message blinked louder now. Council order, immediate. Seizure of subject termination authorized. He muttered under his breath. They're not even pretending anymore. He looked at her, peaceful and unaware, and felt something rise inside him, not fear. Not duty, but defiance. This wasn't just a patient anymore. This wasn't an alien girl on a bed of grass. This was proof, living proof, that something beautiful had happened. He opened his emergency case and pulled out a small black device. The experimental neural imager band on most worlds, developed by humans to simulate memory sharing, bonding emotions across minds. It wasn't safe. But nothing about this moment was. As Rila stirred, her eyes fluttering open, Eli leaned over her. There's no more time, he said. If you still want it, what you asked for, I can give you the next best thing, a connection between our minds, a link stronger than words. She looked up at him. Will I feel what you feel? Yes, he said. You'll feel everything, even my fear. Then I want it, she said without blinking. I want to feel all of you, even the parts that hurt. Eli placed the neural bands on their temples. His hands shook, not from fear but from hope. This isn't a test, he warned. Once it begins, we can't turn it off. I don't want to turn it off, she whispered. The moment the device activated, the world around them shifted. The grass vanished. The sky went dark. And suddenly they stood inside a glowing sphere of light and memory. Floating images surrounded them. Eli's childhood, his fears, his first failure as a doctor, Rayla's lonely education pods, her silent meals, her first tear while reading the Earth novel. They shared it all, naked minds pressed together, thoughts dancing in raw emotion. Rayla gasped as warmth filled her chest, his warmth, his pain, his compassion. She reached out and held his face between her hands, not physically, but in the shared space between them. This is love? She asked. It's the start of it, he answered. In the real world, their bodies sat still, but inside the sphere, their hearts were burning. Her DNA began to shift again, new patterns forming like blooming petals in her cells. The device blinked red, detecting neural spikes beyond expected limits. Then, alarms blared. Outside the dome, soldiers had arrived, armored and silent. Their boots crunched over gravel, weapons in hand, ready to end what they called an abomination. Inside, Rila opened her eyes, now golden instead of silver. Her voice was steady. I hear them. They're coming to take you, Eli said, standing. But I won't let them. The door burst open with a blast of air. Guards rushed in, shouting orders. The lead soldier raised his weapon, but froze when he saw her. Rila stood on her own, her body fully awake. Her presence made the guards step back, not from command but from awe. The scanners on their suits lit up in red. "Unknown genetic class," one guard muttered. "Her signature doesn't match any species." "She's no longer Nyari," Eli said, stepping forward. "She's something new. She's a crime," the lead guard snapped. "This union violates council law." "She's life," Eli replied. "Something you were too afraid to imagine." Rila walked toward the soldiers slowly, her eyes glowing brighter with every step. Her voice rang like crystal. "I was made to die," she said. "But I chose to feel, and that feeling saved me." The guards didn't fire. They couldn't. Not because they lacked orders, but because in their hearts, something told them they were witnessing history. Behind the line of soldiers, a shadow appeared, an elder from the council, dressed in robes of dark green. His face was ancient, unreadable. He stepped forward and spoke calmly. "You broke every rule." "I know," Rila said. "You should have died." "I did," she answered. "Then a human made me feel alive." The elder paused, then turned to the guards. "Take them both," he ordered. "We'll let the galaxy decide what to do with them." Eli and Rila exchanged a glance, not in fear, but in readiness. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Mind to mind, heartbeat to heartbeat. And as the guards surrounded them, even they could feel it, a pulse in the air, something beyond protocol, something deeply human. A new spark of life. The trial was held in orbit above 3 suns, in a council dome of silver walls and hollow words. Inside, hundreds of species sat in cold silence, watching from every sector of the galaxy. News of Ryla's transformation had spread like fire in a forest of dry lies. They had expected her to die quietly. Instead, she stood now stronger than ever. Her skin shimmered with new patterns. No longer Nyari, not entirely human, something in between. The galaxy had no name for her. Not yet. Eli sat beside her, hands locked in steel cuffs. Bruises on his face from the arrest, but his eyes held no shame, only fire. They had both been charged with biological tampering, forbidden emotional convergence, and spiritual violation of interspecies law. The head counselor, a thin creature with glass-like eyes, cleared his throat. "Subject Rila. State your identity." She stood, her voice clear and loud. "I am Rila of the Nyari," she began. "But I no longer carry only that name. I carry something new. You defied your elders," the counselor said. "You fused with human emotion. Do you deny it?" "No," she replied. "I honor it." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some hissed, others stared in awe. Eli leaned forward in his seat, unable to speak due to the gag over his mouth. But his eyes never left her face. "I was born empty," Rila continued. "Made by machines, raised without touch, fed knowledge but never love. My people taught me to obey death, not question it." She turned, slowly, letting every camera capture her face. "Then I met a human, one who gave instead of taking, one who listened instead of commanding, one who held me without asking anything in return." The screen behind her flickered to life, showing footage taken secretly from the biodome. The neural scan during the forbiddance procedure, the glowing DNA shift, the shared heartbeat between her and Eli. Gasps echoed through the dome. "What you see is not corruption," she said. "It is evolution, not a sickness, but a beginning." An elder Nyari stood, voice cold. "You are not proof of life. You are proof of disobedience." "No," she said, stepping forward. "I am proof that we were wrong." One by one, representatives from other species rose to speak, some accused, some defended. But none could deny what they had seen, an alien who had no soul once, now glowing with warmth and will. Then unexpectedly, a small child's voice echoed from the public gallery. "She smiled," the child said, "like my mother used to smile." Silence fell again. The head counselor looked uneasy. "The court will now decide if this change is acceptable." Before they could speak further, a sharp alert rang through the chamber. The AI system monitoring Ryla's body had just released new data. It displayed a strand of DNA never before recorded, blended, stable, fertile. The chamber erupted in chaos. One scientist screamed, "She's capable of reproduction." A senator shouted, "She's not a hybrid. She's a new species." The Nyari elders demanded immediate control. "She is ours," they cried. "She belongs to our future." But Eli's voice finally broke through the noise. His gag had been removed without order, and he stood, bruised, but burning. "She doesn't belong to anyone," he said. "She made a choice to feel, and that choice gave her life." His voice echoed across the dome. "You fear her not because she broke your law, but because she made your laws irrelevant." He walked to her side, his cuffs falling away as council systems disengaged. "You called her dying, unfit, useless," he said. "But she is the first being to evolve through kindness." Ryla reached for his hand, and together they stood, not as criminal and patient, but as something new, something more. Then the final vote began, not by law but by public demand. The people watching across the stars had spoken, and they chose life, not fear. The charges were dropped, the dome lights dimmed, and the council left in silence, unsure whether to celebrate or retreat. Outside, in the great hall of suns, Rayla looked at Eli and smiled. "I felt your heartbeat," she said. "Now I think I have one too." Her legacy was human. A single flower grew in the soil of a frozen world, not because it belonged there, but because someone dared to plant it anyway. That flower was Rayla. 3 months had passed since the trial. The council never apologized. But they no longer sent ships. They watched from a distance, unsure how to face the future they couldn't control. Rayla now lived in the human sector of the outer station, not as a prisoner, not as a patient, but as a guest of honor. Her body had stabilized. Her DNA had stopped shifting, settling into a new form, a form both alien and human. Her pulse was steady, her breath full, her eyes brighter than ever. Every morning she sat by the window and listened to human music, her fingers gently tapping to the rhythm. She wore no wires now, no cuffs, no monitors, only a pendant Eli had made from an old earth coin. It rested over her heart, where once there was only silence. Eli entered the room quietly, holding a small box. "They sent this for you," he said. Placing it beside her chair, Ryla opened it slowly. Inside was a certificate, written in every major language. It read, "Recognized species, Ryla class. Life form, first of her kind." She stared at it, hands trembling. "Does this mean I have a people now?" She asked softly. "No," Eli said, smiling. "It means you are the people, you are the beginning." The door chimed again. This time it was a group of students, some human, some alien eager to see her. They had come to learn, not science or war but connection. They sat in a circle as Rayla told her story. From the glass chamber to the heartbeat on the grass, one girl, with violet skin and shy eyes, asked, "Did it hurt when you started to feel?" "Yes," Rayla said. "But it also healed me. Feeling is how we become more than alive." Later that evening, Eli and Ryla walked through the artificial garden, the same one where she had first felt sunlight on her skin. The trees had grown taller, and small flowers now lined the path, flowers from seeds she had sown by hand. "I still don't understand all of it," she said. "This love, this connection, it's too big." "You don't have to understand it," Eli replied. "You just have to share it." They stopped near the old bench, where her journey had changed. Ryla placed her hand over her chest, feeling the steady beat beneath her skin. "I was meant to die," she whispered. "But instead, I was born." Eli nodded. "And now, because of you, others will be too." Across the galaxy, stories began to spread. Alien mothers now held their children longer. Fathers who once bred only by law now told bedtime stories. Children from species who never touched now hugged freely. They didn't know Ryla personally, but they knew what she stood for. She became a symbol, not of rebellion but of rebirth, of what could happen when kindness became stronger than fear. When a single heartbeat could rewrite a species, Years later, a statue was placed in the Galactic Garden. It showed a girl reaching out, not with a weapon, not with science, but with an open hand. The plaque beneath it read, Rayla. The first to choose feeling over function, and standing beside the statue was Eli, older now but still smiling, watching new generations pass by, watching them remember that even in the coldest species, the smallest light could still spark. A fire, Rayla's body had changed, but her legacy remained clear. She didn't conquer a galaxy. She didn't lead armies. She didn't build empires. She did something harder. She made the universe feel again. And in the end, her legacy was not Nari, not hybrid, not experiment. Her legacy was human.